Thank you for joining us today. I'm Laura Brandeo, president of AFR, and I am joined by Ann Noble. She is an originator and the branch manager for Preferred Mortgage Financial. First off, Ann, thank you so much for being a valued AFR partner and taking the time to meet with us today. And we look forward to listening and learning all of your insights about manufactured housing. So, first question. Have you seen an increase in manufactured housing in your local market over the past year?
Well, thank you, Laura, for the invite. It's a pleasure to be doing this video with you. We've worked together for so many years now. It's a pleasure to do this. To answer your question, it is absolutely crazy right now. Of course, manufactured homes in the area in general are affordable housing in general, and they have been over the several years as a cheaper source for limited income buyers. But the way that they have gone up in value just in general in my area, in the Charleston, South Carolina area, previously the average about, we'll just say 8 years ago, a double wide might run about 110, 120,000. Single wide might be about 75,000. Now I'm closing, I just closed a single wide with you on Tuesday for $325,000.
Wow.
And, I got some other ones coming up. Of course, I had one that had a little bit of acreage with it, but still, I mean, double wides. I got one right now I'm docked out, sending to you for $465,000.
Oh my goodness,
it's crazy right now. And I mean, in comparison to the site builds, imagine that those are double wides, what the site built houses around here are doing. So many people are actually flooding the market. You got investors out there that are buying new manufactured homes and setting them because they are cheaper and faster to build than than a site built house, to try to give more housing available to the area. So it is very popular right now to do these manufactured homes.
Wow. Now, you've been doing manufactured homes for many, many years.
19
right?
years.
Wow. Wow. So give us a little insight of what you've seen in terms of cycles from back when you first started doing them until now, that you've just kind of given a synopsis of the current market.
So I know manufactured homes, aka trailers, aka mobile homes, which, if you truly understand them, I actually used to have a license to sell them before I started doing mortgages. So but back then they were a cheap housing. They were really cheap to build, cheap to sell. Obviously the cost of lumber is having an impact on everything now, but in general, previously they were cheaply made. Now to see some of them, I mean, they are amazing and gorgeous. I mean, they just, it'll blow you away looking at some of the newer homes that are built and seeing the quality and the integrity that is put into some of them now. But then some of the older ones that are being resold are being rehabilitated to show some of the upgrades that are in the newer houses that didn't necessarily come with originally. So a lot of people have the stigma of, oh, well, manufactured home, they go down in value. Not necessarily. As long as you keep it up and it's detitled as part of real estate, it can actually increase in value. There was one loan that I did about 6 years ago, where the client bought the house from HUD. They bought it for $100,000. And then 2 years later, they turned around and sold it for $215,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have an impact on obviously the area. I mean, not all areas will have the impact on what we have, but you can actually improve the value of your manufactured home. I mean, when you take the house apart from the land and it's a home only loan, that's when your values will go down. But you tie it with that real estate and that land, it'll go up.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Now, one of the things that we offer is becoming a manufactured home certified specialist.
Yes.
Tell us, are you one of our manufactured home certified specialists?
But of course,
I expected.
when I heard that the test for it was available, I'm like, well, let me see before I take the class if I can just pass it without it, because obviously I've been doing them for quite a while. Like I said, you get 90% of my business that I do, and probably about 80 to 90% of the business that I do is manufactured homes anyway. So I took took the test immediately and passed it with 100%. I was like, yay!
Yay! Awesome. Okay, so now let's speak about new builds, right? So I know you do a lot of resales, but what
Yes.
about new builds? Have you formed relationships in your local community with manufactured home retailers and builders, and also use that as part of your business plan?
I do. So I'd love to promote your one-time close loan with the local dealerships, giving them the opportunity to know that, hey, once you close on this loan, there's no risk involved of the client's credit tanking, or they lose their job, whatever, heaven forbid, or they get a collection that shows up. But it allows them to know that yes, they're going to get their money out of it. So it is risk free for them versus like a two-time close, where those aren't fun. I've been through some of those, and that's not fun at all. But they do like that one. I mean, I just closed one on last Friday with a local Clayton dealership, and getting ready to start on another one with them. So, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely exciting.
So what's the issue with the two-time close? Like what negative effect have you seen there? Because we don't offer the two-time close, and I'm curious where you've seen. Of course, the one-time close is such a better option for probably for everyone. I mean, all around.
I mean, it's risk-free because you don't have to worry about the client changing jobs, or some of them don't really realize, even though I try to educate all my clients, during loan process, hey, don't quit your job, don't take off any time that you aren't getting paid for. And then sometimes I know there's one client about 5 or 6 years ago doing a two-time close on it. And once we close on his construction loan, he's going to take some time off. I said, oh, no, you got to get back to work and get that overtime cranked back up, because we got to do the final loan. And then I had another one about 6 years ago on a two-time close, where the appraisal actually went down.
Oh.
So there's no risk in doing that in a two-time close, because we can't pick who we want for the appraiser. So the first appraiser had a higher value. When we did the second appraisal, once it was done, 8 months later, the value was less. So everybody had to start cutting back just to make the numbers work. So
that's something like that. That could certainly be challenging to deal with.
And then another one, they had some medical collections show up on a credit report. So they started in the 720s and then dropped down to a 580 due to some recent collections that had to get some of them paid off and removed to get the score back up to where we could even just close on it final. So lots of struggles out there for doing two-time close, but that's why I push the one-time close. So then that way, once we know that it's closed, hey, telling the dealer, you're getting your guaranteed money. You don't have to worry about anything that happens after it closes.
Exactly. So if you were going to give a piece of advice to an originator out there that maybe, and it's funny, right? I mean, you and I, we could say we love manufactured homes and they're so easy, right? There's no issue. But there are originators and people out in the marketplace that look at them as complicated, or things could go wrong. So if you were going to give that piece of advice to someone that maybe has not entered into that market, what advice would you give?
Well, what I would suggest is to do your due diligence, or make sure that the agent does theirs. I mean, the biggest thing that we try to make sure of is that making sure that the house is on the original set when it was new. And don't ever go off of, well, the seller says, go off of what the county says. If the county says on a 1999 house that it was placed there in 1999 and it hadn't been anywhere else, then it's on the original set. If it's a 1999 house and it was placed there in 2007, you're going to have a problem unless you're trying to do VA. So never take the seller's advice, especially if they bought it as a resale. But I always tell the agents, do your due diligence, call the county, double check this, double check that. And what I usually do on any house that I get for a contracting on is, first thing I do is I pull up realtor.com to make sure that I'm looking at the house and make sure it's in good condition. Because if I see something on it that I see that might need some renovations done to it, I'm like, hey, well, this needs some work done to it. We can do a renovation loan on it and still be able to close it so your client can still buy the house. I know a lot of places, they'll start on a loan and obviously they can't do single wide. So they're like, oh, well, we started on this and got the appraisal in and found out it's a single wide and we can't do it. Can you take it over? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yes.
That's right. So, but I mean, it's just taking that extra 30 seconds to 90 seconds just to look at the house, see what's going on with it, see what kind of property is, what kind of condition it's in, making sure that we're not going to have any issues later on down the line.
I think that's great advice across the board, right? In regards to every single transaction that you do.
Right, absolutely.
That little bit of extra time that you do up front will ultimately save time in the long run.
Right.
Great advice. Well, Ann, you are awesome. We thank you so much for your continued partnership and for taking care of all of those families that you're working with out there. And thank you for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.